Unscripted. So grateful to have you here. We've worked together for years, but you're doing wonderful work as a pet advocate. I'm so grateful to have you out there. The abused animals need a voice, and you're that voice. And you work and have a company for natural pet treats, Gladys goodies, and share how you got into that whole movement of becoming a pet advocate and creating your company.
Well, it came in two parts. Since I was a kid, I loved animals, and animals always seemed to love me. And I saw when I started working, I actually volunteered as a vet with a vet when I was in 8th grade. Wow. And I got to see, unfortunately, a lot of really bad things. You know, you don't realize how much is out there until you physically work with something like that. Mm-hmm. So that kind of opened up my eyes a lot. And then I started to see that, you know, these shelters are getting full of animals and they're just euthanizing them. And, you know, that I try to figure out what is the cause of that. Why are these animals there? And, you know, there's a lot of natural reasons why somebody would have it. You know, they lose their job. They can't stay at their home. You know, some things happen. Yeah. But I didn't realize at the time that there were no kill shelters. So I started to realize, you know, what, let's maybe not worry so much about, you know, taking them to these kill shelters, and let's see what we can do to get them into a no kill shelter. And I saw, believe it or not, I had a neighbor that used to abuse his dog really bad. And I have seen some pretty horrible things along the way too. So I'm trying to make sure that people know what it takes to have a pet. You know, it's a commitment. It's not just a couple years. You're looking at least 10 years for most dogs. Yeah. And cats can actually go for 15 to 20 easily. Mm-hmm. You know, even a hamster, you're on the hook for 5 years, and tortoises and little turtles, 75. You know, so I mean, when you really think about it, these animals are finding themselves in these situations because we don't know what we're getting ourselves into. So I wanted to try to make sure that people understand that. Now, I started the business because I got my dog some treats from PetSmart, and they happened to be laced with antifreeze. And it killed one of my dogs, and Gladys, who did not die, she now has a very severe pancreatitis. So we cannot feed her anything really that's got anything more than 2% fat. It's got to be all natural, no chemicals, no nothing, and no fillers, no byproducts. And you can't really just find that in stores. And when you do, it's extremely expensive. So I worked with the vet to figure out what I needed, and I started making my own treats. And my dogs love them. She lost weight from them, and I figured, you know what, this might be something worth giving out to other people. You know, I made sure that they were homemade, so none of this kind of stuff can happen. I physically touch everything that goes into those products. Wow.
Jason, this is phenomenal for me. And, you know, last year we had a guest on who was a vet, and she shocked the heck out of me when she told me what was in some of the dog treats and food. I was like, that's what we're giving our dog. And she said, don't be misunderstood, though, that when you get a $90 dog food and it says that it's all natural, that doesn't mean there's no regulation. So you don't know really what's in there. Yeah, and so she suggested that you slow cook for your dog on the weekend for the whole week, and then just store it and just do a big pot of chicken or whatever. You can get the cheaper cuts or whatever, and and just put it out there. And I started doing that for Henry. He lost weight, and boy, is he loving his dinner and lunch. Yeah, so I love that you did that. Now, why the heck would anyone decide, forget about, you know, maybe not checking and having the best cuts of meat, but why the heck would you put antifreeze in treats for a dog?
I think, well, there is a form of antifreeze. It's not the full form of antifreeze. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it allows the moisture, so it's got more malleability to the treat, and it lasts longer, so it gives it moisture. Whereas the full form of antifreeze can happen just from processing. You're working with machines that are making these things. So, you know, they do leak. They do have other problems. Every machine has to cool, and it's usually cooled through antifreeze. So, you know, even the FDA allows 1 tablespoon of antifreeze for human consumption. So that's a lot. Yeah. You know, and this is what I'm saying. If the FDA says it's good, I don't buy it. That's the bare minimum, you know? So, I mean, that to me is pretty terrible. Yeah. So, you know, this is where this type of stuff happens, and it can happen easily. You know, I also don't like the fact that there are byproducts. Have you ever read the definition of what a byproduct is? No. It is disgusting. It's everything that we won't eat. It's the intestines, the eyes, the brains, the worst part of the meat and everything else. It's what we will not eat. Yeah. And I'm like, and we're going to give that to our pets? Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I got some stuff from the vet, and it was actually it was, I can't remember the brand of it, but it was a medicated food to help them lose weight. It's all byproducts. I'm like, that's disgusting. How is that healthier for my dog than just getting a chunk of chicken, boiling it up and giving it to him?
Exactly. Now, tell me what you've learned becoming a pet advocate as far as people going to the pound, getting pets, not being aware of their responsibility, what they're getting into. What have you learned in that respect? And what are some of the biggest mistakes people are making out there with getting an animal?
Well, first of all, you gotta look at your own situation. Sometimes people want big dogs, but they have a 600 square foot apartment. You got to realize these dogs are big dogs, and they're going to take up a lot of room. So you got to look at your living environment. You also got to look at your living lifestyle. Do you travel a lot? Do you are you home? Do you work a lot? Do you work long hours? Are you home most of the time? These are the things that you need to consider when you're buying a dog or a cat or any type of animal. You also got to learn. You got to look at your own budget, because there's a lot of expenses that come with it. Food for a big dog can run you $60 to $70 a week. And that's looking at a 50-pound bag of kibble that can probably last you about a week, maybe a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You got moist cans too and stuff like that. You also got to look at the vet. It costs more to take a big dog to a vet than a smaller dog or cat.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to look at the yearly shots. Cats and dogs both need yearly shots, the for heartworms at least.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give them heartworm medicine. That heartworm medicine is a monthly expense. Then you have to have them checked every year. I mean, my dogs cost me about $225 to $250 per dog per year.
Wow.
And that's just to get the general vaccinations and stuff. So those are the things you got to take into consideration before you buy one. And also, your personality has to match with the dog. It's okay to go shopping for dogs and not buy one on the first shot, or cat. You got to make sure that their personality matches with you, because if they come home, they don't agree with you, guess what? Yeah. Dog's going back to the pound. Yeah. And also, if you do have a situation where things can change, you got to have a backup plan. Mm-hmm. So let's just say, you lose your job and you got to move into a house or an apartment where they don't accept animals. That happens. But as opposed to taking it to the local pound where they euthanize these dogs, and sometimes after 14 days or less, the dog's gone. Take them to a no-kill shelter. There's lots of no-kill shelters and rescues in your neighborhood. You just probably don't realize it. So look it up on the internet. Yeah. There are a lot of different things that you can do to protect these animals from being euthanized. And it's not their fault. Even if they're aggressive, it's not necessarily their fault. No. And if you are buying a rescue, you've got to realize that they may not mingle correctly with you. My Bichon that I had, her name was Allie. That's the one that passed away from the antifreeze. When we got her, she was so abused because she was in a puppy mill, and all the dogs that the puppies that you buy at these stores come from puppy mill dogs. My dog had a 4 foot by 2 foot run, never got to see any human compassion. The only time she was touched by humans was when they pulled her out to breed her, or when they had to clean her cage. She could contort herself in all kinds of different places. And they said, there's a good chance that she will never cuddle. She will never play with toys. She will never, give you kisses or anything like that. So if you're expecting something like that with rescue dogs, that may not happen. Yeah. Now, it took us 2 years, but she really did come around, and it was really good because she started snuggling before she passed away. She was rehabilitated, but it took time. It took about 2.5 years before she really truly warmed up to us. Yeah. But you know what? It's worth it if you have that patience. Yeah. And also you got to watch out if you have kids too and other animals, because just because they mix with you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to mix with the kids or other animals in your home. So, you work on that.
You made some good points there. When I went to ASPCA, the one thing they asked me when I went to look for a dog is they're like, do you have any other dogs? If you do, we suggest you bring them in this process so that they have a little area where you can sit with the dog and all of you and the family could get to meet the new dog or cat. And that way, now it's a very short period because they're only there for 5 minutes or whatever, but at least you can get a feel of how everyone in the family connects with the animal. And see, the first time I went, I was looking for a smaller dog. because I'm in a small studio. And you made that point that depending on your lifestyle, look to get, you can't get a German Shepherd in a studio apartment. The poor German Shepherd will lose his mind. So we were already looking for hypoallergenic or a small dog. So every week we would go, and it's funny, we'd see it online, we'd run down there, they just left, because they were the ones that really go quickly in New York, because everyone has apartments. But one day I went down with my husband, we saw a beautiful baby pit bull, Ariel, gray with pink little ears. I'm like, oh, let's get him. And my husband's like, heck no, that's going to turn into a huge dog. That is not going to work. And not only that, you have to think about not only personality, but that's a strong dog that takes a strong person that can handle that type of dog. That's so even if the personality meshes with you, you got to be able to handle that dog on the street and realize not let him get loose or, attack someone by accident or have any problems. So there's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. And, the other big thing that we don't think about is insurance and liability. There are some dogs that you cannot have, or if you do have it, your insurance goes up and you have to have special insurance for them. Pit bulls are one of them, Rottweilers, Doberman Pinschers, and German Shepherds, because they're more of an aggressive breed. That doesn't necessarily mean that the dog is going to be aggressive that you have. It's all how you treat them. Yeah. But generally, those are the dogs that seem to be more aggressive, and therefore you have a bigger liability as a homeowner.
Yeah.
So
if anything, I've known a couple of pit bulls, and they're just very strong animals. They're very muscular. So for one, not only will they clean you out of your refrigerator, if you, especially if you feed them natural food, but they are stronger. And if you're a kind of weak person, not that strong to hold the leash, that could be a problem. So there's a lot of things to think about. But now that you started your company, how has it been coming along? And what is your biggest lessons you've learned in growing this business?
Well, that's a lot of different things. And, it has been a struggle. I mean, no business is easy to start up with. And I'm trying to start it out online. So the biggest thing that I've been trying to overcome is marketing. Marketing's tough, and you got to be able to get out there. I mean, you can have the best website, the best products, whatever, but if nobody knows that you're there, you're simply in a deserted island, and nobody knows that you exist. So it's been a challenge trying to find ways of and getting creative ways of getting people to come to the website and purchase it through there. But one of the best ways that I learned how to do this is use alternative places as well. It takes a lot of I don't know, for lack of the word, I guess it would be trust. Yeah. Sometimes people don't want to just put their credit cards in on websites that they don't trust, especially if they look like they're brand new and not established. So I try to create ways that they could buy the stuff easy, and that one of those ways was through Amazon, and the other was through Etsy. But I have them all tracked through my website, and I try to give them newsletters and everything else when I sell stuff on there, so they know what's going on with my shop. Yeah. But I also wanted to diversify my shop as well, so people can pick up bowls, leashes, collars, whatever they need in order to also help their animal along as well. So I wanted to make it more diverse, so it's not just treats. Absolutely. And I'm hoping that builds trust as well as we grow.
Now, absolutely. What I think is great, have you formed partnerships with other animal companies like veterinarians and pet areas, maybe pet spas that could actually carry your goods?
Working on that. A lot of the vets around here that I've noticed either work with one supplier and that's it, because they get kickbacks from it. So that's a little bit tougher. I thought it was going to be easier to do that, and I've learned that along the way, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. No. But also, you can't just kind of jump into a big chain like PetSmart or Chewy because they want millions and millions of bags at one time, because they got to be able to ship it on a whim's notice. And if my thing's jiggling here, Gladys is trying to get in on this, so I apologize. She's knocking my arm a little bit. Anyways, there are ways to get around that. And I'm trying to actually look for natural health food stores, because it is a naturally healthy thing, and sometimes when you go in there, you forget about your animal. So if they have the ability to buy something for their animal there with the same standards and qualifications, I think that's a great place too. But the hardest part is trying to find businesses that are independently owned and like a ma pa store. I mean, there's a store down here. I didn't realize it was part of a big corporation that's around the world but it says independently owned and operated, but they can't necessarily buy something off the street. So, I'm learning that along the way, and it's fun. I get a lot of no's, I get a lot of yeses and stuff like that too. But that's probably the hardest thing, is finding out how they're structured, because that's going to matter how I get my stuff in here.
But that's a good point. And I love that you say you get a lot of no's, I get a lot of yeses. I think that's one lesson I've learned in business, is that you don't stop, but you just get back up and you say, okay, that didn't work. What next? And it's an ongoing learning process. It's not like, boom, you just get it. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize. I know I didn't realize when I got started. You think, hey, this is really pretty easy. I got a great idea. People need it. The market needs it. Boom, it's going to be successful. And it really is. It's just a process, just staying on track and just keeping focused to your goal.
And I think it's fun too to learn from those mistakes as well.
Yeah.
You learn, you get a no, and it's like, why did I get that no? And if you can't sit there and analyze that and learn from it, then you're not going to be very successful.
Exactly.
People give up too easily, I think, and they get really blown out expectations of what they really think is going to happen, and when it doesn't happen, they give up.
Yes.
And this is where we got to take those lessons, learn from them, grow from them. And it keeps you active. And that's what I like about it. I mean, I'm constantly thinking. I mean, I go to bed at nighttime, 12 o'clock, I could barely keep my eyes open. As soon as my head hits that pillow, here comes all these crazy ideas of stuff that I could put out there. Mm-hmm. But I also realize I can't do every single solitary idea that I want. Mm-hmm. Because if you do, you're so stretched out that it's not functional. So what you got to do is look at the ones that make the most sense, and then try to work them into your product or your business plan or whatever it may be, and try them. And if they don't work, they don't work. Go on to the next idea.
Yeah, move on.
You got to constantly evolve. That's the thing about business, is you got to constantly evolve.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's the evolution, the constantly pause, reset, and then go again. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Well, this has been fascinating. I hope it gets everyone thinking. If anyone out there is thinking, I want to get a dog for maybe an upcoming gift, birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, or just like, hey, my kids would love a dog, but thinking about the overall responsibility for everyone in the house. Does everyone really want it? Because if mom's not there, Joey's going to have to walk them, so really getting everyone involved in the process. And I think this is really good that you came out here to share that with everyone, so that we don't have any more abused or animals sent to pounds. I want you to let everyone know, though, where they can find out how they can get awesome treats from Gladys Goodies. How can they do that?
Absolutely. It's you can go to www.gladysgoodies.com, GLADDYS goodies.com. And you can buy anything there. That's the full store. And if you want just the treats or something like that, and you want to try it on Etsy or Amazon, it's there too. There are links on my website to both of those, so you can find it there. You don't have to go searching through their search engine. And anything else, anybody can always call me, email me if they have a specific request or something like that. So if they can't find something on the store, let me know. I might be able to find it. I got a lot of suppliers, and all my treats are handmade here by me. And I scrutinize the products extremely strong, because, like I said, look, the one you just saw here, she's sick, so I give her the same stuff that I give at all my products. So if she can't eat it because it's not the right type of ingredient, it will not be in my treats. Yeah,
and if they want to email you, how can they do that?
GladysGoodies.com. That's my website. GladysGoodies@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, Jason, I just have to thank you again for the wonderful work you're doing to help animals out there, and for coming today to Savvy Broadcasting to show you a great gift. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.